Today's video about optimal fasting duration. So my message is that lean people should reduce duration of fasting. For those visitors of my YouTube channel who do not have time to watch all this video, I am giving the answer right now. The optimal duration of fasting depends on the proportion of the adipose tissue in your total body weight. Achieving a high intensity autophagy during fasting should not be your primary goal. Autophagy in our body goes on non-stop but at various intensity. The highest intensity may be achieved with high intensity interval training during extended fasting while following strict ketogenic or carnivore diets. Yet the high intensity autophagy may harm your body. This is my message, okay? So for those who are obese and want to lose weight as quick as possible, fasting for several days may be an appropriate choice. But if you have already achieved a significant reduction in the proportion of the adipose tissue in your body and redistribution of fat deposits from the abdomen to the legs and buttocks while following a strict carnivore diet, intermittent fasting, and one-time meal a day, then it can be a good time to shorten the duration of fasting and switch from one meal a day to 2 meals a day and maybe to 14 or 16 hours of fasting. This is maybe. Again, it is just to avoid toxicosis. It is absolutely necessary to interrupt fasting and eat some fatty meat or any other source of fat and proteins like egg yolk or canned sardines in the case of toxicosis. In my previous videos, I already expressed my opinion that the best time for physical training and exercises will be in the morning and during the fasting interval. But if you have time, if you have time for such physical activity only in the evening, then it will be okay to eat some proteins and fat about a couple hours before training and always soon after it. Remember, it is absolutely necessary to eat protein after the training. Yet it is absolutely important to avoid carbohydrates after intensive exercises. This has to be the rule. My subscribers know that obesity is related to the total amount of toxins we are getting, including those toxins enter our body and those that are formed inside our body as toxic metabolites, waste products from burning calories. And the more toxins there are in food, water, and air, the more adipose tissue volume is required to store toxins safely. Sure, some of these toxins get neutralized in the liver and excreted from the body by kidney, but only a part. On the internet you can see recommendations to fast regularly for 3 to 4 days or to follow so-called intellectual diet when once a month for 5 days in a row the calorie intake and protein content in the diet are sharply reduced. The protein content of food is 10% of calories, fat 56% of calories, and carbohydrates 34% of calories. It is not my recommendations. It is absolutely wrong in my opinion. But okay, these quotes are taken from a website promoted in the Russian Federation. This is Nestorenia.ru. Okay, but I believe I saw quite many similar recommendations in internet internationally. Although visitors of this website report symptoms of toxicosis, while they are fasting the recommended way, all the recommendations stay unchanged. So the people consider it as dogma that the longer you are fasting, the better. Intensive fasting is good. Not. At first, after the discovering of this website, I myself began to study the information materials and the advising of the website owners, and even tried to participate in the website blog. But it is difficult to communicate with people who have medical training but no experience to work in science. In particular, at the website, it is proclaimed as a dogma that rejuvenation of the body is impossible, but only health extension. In the opinion of the website owners, the process of protein glycation is irreversible, and stiffening of tissues of the connective tissue is the main cause of aging. Yeah, it is again, it is, can be, my opinion, it can be reversed, and rejuvenation is possible. I don't claim that all or most of our information on this website is incorrect, but it is necessary to take opinion of people with healthy skepticism. Would they be scientists, medical professionals, or health enthusiasts? It includes myself, as I just express my personal opinion, and I am not a medical specialist. I am PhD in physics. I am scientist. What works for me may not work for you. My advantage is that I am 63 years old and have a personal interest in rejuvenation and considerable extension of lifespan. Meanwhile, people who are active in this area are mostly in age from 25 to 45 years old. I can name only a few people older than 60 years, like Josh Mitteldorf. I will put this presentation available to public, so you can click, and if you cannot find it by googling Josh Mitteldorf scientific blog, then you can just click on the link. And as a professional scientist, I first try to understand the mechanism of aging and propose methods of healing and rejuvenation, which I test on my only guinea pig at my disposal. It is my own body. That is, I accept the risk and consequences of my wrong decisions and pay with my life for them. Or I may be rewarded with extra years of healthy and productive life for making the correct decisions. It is quite a good motivation for me to work hard and avoid mistakes, because I'm absolutely in this, I mean, I'm personally interested to get rejuvenation, to make everything correct. So follow me or not, it is up to you. I am not a physician, I am a physicist, but I do what seems to be right. I have no final recipes yet, and my opinion is changing in accordance with the level of my understanding of the problem. Even if successful, I will not be able to offer a medical advice, because I am not a medical professional, or recipe for rejuvenation for all other people, also because each person is unique. And as I told already, what works for me may not work for another person. To be a little bit more specific, I am a person of the Eastern European descent. My blood is of the O group and rhesus negative. My relatives live longer than in average, and they are active in old age. So my working hypothesis of the aging mechanism is as follows. During our life, we receive a huge amount of toxins, both from food, water, air, and also toxic metabolites from the inside of our body, from our cells. Some of these toxins are excreted, they are excreted by the liver and kidney from our body. Some are excreted through the skin and lungs. But if the rate of the toxins intake is too high, then some of the toxins are deposited in the adipose tissue. The higher the rate of the toxins intake, the more fat volume is necessary to store toxins. So obesity is just a result of the consumption of these toxins, the toxins both produced inside body and what we are getting with food, air, water, and etc. Therefore, the first step on the path to health and rejuvenation is to reduce the rate of toxins intake. Again, both from outside and inside. The toxins from outside of our body are not only aromatic compounds from the exhaust of automobile engines, pesticides, herbicides, food additives, substances from polymeric materials for food and water packaging, heavy metals, vaccines, medications, and other toxic substances. These are there are also natural toxins that plants use to protect themselves from those living beings that are eating them. Plants do not want to be eaten, they want to be left alone, okay? So especially care and especially high concentration of toxins there are in plant seeds. After all, plants do not have an ability to escape from insects, herbivores, ruminants, and even bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Therefore, plants use toxins, mostly polyphenols that kill or damage those living beings that are eating them. Plants take particular care of their children. Seeds. Plant seeds, and in particular grains, are saturated with toxins. So I would not recommend to eat them, even if we are humans developed some way to reduce these toxins, but yet it is not completely removed, and the rule is no grain, no pain, especially in older age. If you are young, it is maybe okay to eat bread, to eat some grains, but the older you are, the more toxins already accumulated, and then it is now only way to reduce the rate the toxins are coming to your body. The same cannot be said about fruits and berries. That fruits and berries are supposed to attract birds and animals that eat them and help to distribute plant seeds. So berries, in some berries, seeds germinate only after activation in the digestive system of birds and animals. Therefore, we have at least to treat plant foods with reasonable care. That is, to avoid consuming seeds, grains, most of nuts and so-called vegetable oils, which are, and vegetable oils are only a concentrated solution of toxins from the plant seeds. Avoid seeds, no grain, no pain. This is the rule, at least for elders in older age. And consume some fruits, berries, and honey in moderation. Bees produce honey from nectar or sweet juice from fruits while pollinating the plant flowers. Nectar attracts pollinators, and by definition it cannot be toxic. Also, bees add some useful hormones in honey. So why is reasonable care needed in consumption of fruits and berries? Because when growing fruits and berries, modern farmers use herbicides, insecticides, and toxic substances that slow down rotting of the fruits and berries. And nowadays, fruits are genetically modified products. They are not the same like they used to be. And they are designed to increase amounts of fructose in them. Fructose is a kind of drug for us. We want to eat sweet fruits. Fructose, as well as alcohol in large quantities, leads to fatty degeneration of the liver. Consumption of honey is beneficial due to enzymes in organic honey, but only in reasonable amount, and also if it is organic honey. If you have access to people who are beekeepers, you can buy honey from them, but don't buy in a shop, because 10% it is maximum concentration of organic honey at shops. The rest is inverted sugar. I told already you. I am myself as a beekeeper. As for myself, I am completely stopped consumption of vegetables after 2 severe food poisoning with vegetable salads. I still buy onions, garlic, and black pepper, as it is unrealistic to eat too much spices. Also, the spices work as a catalyst for our digestion. They are good for the body thanks to the content of polyphenols, which are toxic. Remember, they are toxic in spices, they are toxic, but in small amounts, spices work as an antibacterial agent and even may help to get rid of the so-called zombie or senescent cells in our body. I suspect also that bee venom has a similar ability to kill senescent cells as senolytics, so such medications that kill senescent cells, and this is why beekeepers in average live longer. I am a beekeeper myself. I started beekeeping because I want to live longer, and I will produce a video on it. Switching to the strict carnivore diet is the second step in reducing the amount of toxins entering our body. Of course, toxins also accumulate in animal fats, but animals have a liver and kidney. That is, toxins from food are excreted at least in part from their body. Even so, eggs and meat from chickens grown on soybeans and corn should be avoided because industrially produced chicken meat and eggs contain increased amount of toxins and polyunsaturated fatty acids from the seeds they eat. I already talked about this in my previous video. Can we eat pork? It depends on what the pig were fed with. If these are tubers, in particular potatoes or tapioca cassava tubers, that is common food for pigs in Thailand, then such pork will be good for our health. But in America and China, pigs are mostly fed with soybean meal and corn. Then it is better to avoid eating such pork for the same reason that the fat will have too much polyunsaturated fatty acids and toxins. Of course, the best source of calories for us is the meat or fat of herbivores, cows, sheep, goat, horses. At the same time, due to the special structure of the cow stomach, beef, tallow, and cow milk, organic cow milk, contain a minor amount of toxins. Of course, I mean only cows that are grass-fed during summer and hay-fed in winter time, not grain. That is, I recommend grass-fed and grass-finished beef. Unfortunately, such beef is not cheap, and so is the milk, organic milk from these cows. The quality of beef and cow milk is critically declining last years. I observed the decline while living in Germany, when in just 10 years cow milk in retail shops turned into a dairy product that cannot be fermented, but when stored at room temperature turns into foul smelling and disgusting slurry. So if you can afford, then you should buy grass-fed and grass-finished beef, as well as internal organs, tallow and ghee. If such food products are not affordable, not everybody can pay high price for meat, for food, then it is better to consume any valuable meat and fat from ruminants. So ruminants, by definition, they have, even if they are grain-fed, they have less toxins in the body. They have such a organism, such digestive system that mostly removes toxins. That includes, so this is what I say, including grain-finished beef and tallow. What is available? If you can buy beef, if you can afford beef, even normal beef, buy it. In Thailand and other tropical countries, coconuts are a good source of saturated fats that are free from toxins. I was telling you probably about this, that coconuts have another strategy to protect their babies, the nuts, and they have very strong shell, so that then inside the coconuts have no toxins. But coconuts are low in vitamins, while there are a lot of fat-soluble vitamins in animal fat. So you can additionally consume coconuts like I do, but the main food should be carnivore diet and animal products. The only vitamin that we cannot get from animal products in large quantities. We have enough from liver and fresh meat, fresh red meat of vitamin C, but some higher quantities are probably necessary, and that's what I do. But ascorbic acid is so cheap that it is easier to buy it and take a few grams in powder form each morning or in small portions during the day. In my previous videos, I discussed benefits of vitamins of B group, which also can be obtained from dry yeast. Both, there are a lot of vitamins of B group in liver, for example, but dry yeast may be cheaper. or you can buy it, you can purchase them as powders or take once or twice a day. There are, as I said, there are large concentration of such vitamins in beef liver. I believe that people with very limited budget may use some plant foods. Sure, yes, if there is no money, but you have to eat, but eat again, be smart. For example, buckwheat contains much less toxins than wheat grains, beans, nuts, and other seeds. In Papua New Guinea, over 90% of energy people get from baked sweet potatoes. I think that eating boiled and or sweet potatoes, especially if they cool down, then together with sauerkraut and herring, with fish, but fish better, like herring, it is not treated by heat. So maybe a part of healthy diet. At least in my childhood, it was a staple food for our family. But it is absolutely necessary to avoid seeds which are rich in polyunsaturated seeds and seed oils which are rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids. The next step is to reduce the amount of toxic metabolites that are produced in our body. These metabolites include so-called reactive oxygen species, ROS, which our mitochondria produce during glucose oxidation. The reactive oxygen species damage the cells and DNA of mitochondria, so they damage sirtuins, they damage the DNA of the cells. And as a result of switching to the carnivore diet, mitochondria are burning saturated fatty acids while producing production of less amount of reactive oxygen species. So this would be a healthy way to reduce the amount of these toxin substances. Seed oils have to be considered as toxins not only due to the high concentration of plant toxins in them, but because of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Such fatty acids in our body get oxidized even at room temperature in presence of oxygen. We indeed need some omega-3 fatty acids, but in very small amount, maybe 2%, 1% of the total fat consumption, while from standard American diet, for example, we are getting 50–60% of calories from these polyunsaturated fatty acids. And believe me, they are absolutely toxic. They accumulate in your body. They okay, let's go. Just moreover, mitochondria cannot oxidize the polyunsaturated fatty acids without production of toxic metabolites. Such metabolites damage mitochondria themselves, and cells are getting not enough energy. So if you on standard American diet, you have no energy, and if you shift to carnivore diet and consume mostly animal fat, you will see how more energy your body generates. And even before time, you will expel all these polyunsaturated fats from your body. Even if you will get less polyunsaturated fat with food, you will see difference quite quick. Concentration of the oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acids in blood is growing while they sediment on walls of our blood vessels. So this what you are getting all these modern chronic diseases. This is mostly because of polyunsaturated fatty acids, oxidation of these polyunsaturated fatty acids. So avoid them at any cost. I believe that intermittent fasting after accommodation of our body to the carnivore diet is the next step in the right direction. Mitochondria will use saturated fatty acids as a source of energy. But if volume adipose tissue drops, and adipose tissue, if you was eating a standard diet and with a lot of polyunsaturated fatty acids, your body is saturated with this fat, unsaturated fat, and up to maybe 30–40% of volume of adipose tissue will be with unsaturated fatty acids. And When you are losing fat, then these unsaturated fatty acids get into your blood and produce toxicosis eventually. So, but again, at first the losing of the fat is going easy, but if volume of adipose tissue drops, concentration of these fatty acids in blood is dropping too due to an extended fasting. Therefore, to keep rate of metabolism high, the muscles and inner organs will go into extended autophagy and start burning proteins too. That is, not only fat will be your source of energy even at carnivore diet, but with extended fasting, like intermittent fasting, eating once a day, you will get to the stage that amount of energy that body can generate for fat burning is not enough. You already have not much fat, and then it is burning proteins, and that is, there will be a loss of muscle tissue, and this should be avoided, as regrowth of muscles in older age is very, very limited. It's so difficult to regrow muscles in old age, and sarcopenia is quite dangerous. A complex of signaling molecules produced by zombie or senescent cells should also be counted as toxic substances. Zombie cells have a lot in common with cancer cells and with cells infected with viruses. That is, all three types of cells are characterized by hyperactivity in the production of proteins. So, and they use glucose as energy source because it is an easy and fast way to get energy. Fats are burning slowly, and again, if you don't have enough fat saturated fat with food, then glucose will be used, and also glucose will be generated in your liver from proteins, and proteins will be used, amino acids will be used as a source of energy too. So lowering or stabilizing blood glucose levels due to the carnivore and ketogenic diet helps our immune system to cope with these defective cells. So if you follow a strict carnivore diet with saturated fatty acids as source of your energy, then it is you are much healthier. You can your immune system can regenerate, at least in part, and they will fight these defective cells, which include both leukemia, three types. You see, the senescent cells, the cancer cells, and cells infected with viruses. Active production of proteins in these cells needs activation of so-called mTOR pathway, mTOR pathway. It happens at increased concentration of glucose and some amino acids inside the cell, and increased level of hormone insulin in the blood. This is the conditions to activate the mTOR pathway. A moderate level of autophagy suppresses the activation of mTOR. However, it has been noticed that too intensive autophagy activates the production of proteins, since during intensive autophagy amounts of glucose and amino acids inside the cells are increasing to the level high enough to activate this mTOR. Intense autophagy, or extended fasting, also promotes transformation of normal cells to the senescent ones. We can speculate that intensive burning of fats in your adipose tissue during extended fasting leads to a release of toxins from the adipose tissue, and these toxins damage healthy cells and organs of our body. So, a part of healthy cells can get transformed into senescent cells. Also, it was demonstrated that in conditions of intense autophagy, lysosomes can leak to cytoplasm, damage mitochondria, and disrupt the work of sirtuins. For example, SIR1, type SIR1, which is very important to repair our DNA, especially if membranes of the lysosomes have organolipids made from polyunsaturated fatty acids. You see, so it is a quite complicated process. You should not be in a hurry. Be smart. Do it slowly. So then I took just a picture of from one article that the extended autophagy, it leads to senescence, yeah? But limited autophagy, smart autophagy, can kill senescent cells and can kill cancer cells. This is what people say. And it is about senolytic activity, but also for cancer cells. It has been shown that intense autophagy promotes the formation of metastasis of cancer cells in the late stages of the cancer development. Thus, fasting can be both beneficial and harmful to the body. It all depends on the intensity of autophagy, that is, on the duration of fasting. So the rule is that we should not allow toxicosis during fasting, but interrupt fasting by eating some carbohydrate-free food. This allows us to maintain a state of ketosis, to use yet saturated fats as an energy source, and avoid peaks in the release of insulin. This, okay, there is just a picture of one article where the research was done that demonstrates that autophagy, intensive autophagy may promote cancer. So, how long should be the duration of fasting? It depends again on the amount of fat in the body. Bodybuilders eat every 4 hours, that is up to 6 times a day, in the process of fat burning from 8% to 4% in their bodies. Okay, I probably will never get even 8%, but maybe 15%, 10% would be a good target for me. So, but anyway, so it's if bodybuilders take 4 hours and 1 meal a day, it's 22 hours interval of fasting. So I have to take something between. Okay, so if you don't follow this, if you not shorten the interval of fasting, then muscles will be burned along with fat. Why? Because again, the rate at which fatty acids are released from the adipose tissue into the bloodstream is limited. And when the number and volume of fat cells in the adipose tissue is decreasing, the energy to maintain a high metabolic rate by burning fat becomes insufficient. So again, and then you will feel this toxicosis. Additionally, with a small amount of fat in the body, the concentration of accumulated toxins in the fat cells gets too high, and the increased release of toxins into the blood may damage the internal organs of a person. Therefore, the less adipose tissue have a person, the shorter should be the intervals between meals should be. Indeed, in my own experience, again, loss of fat was going very easy in the early stages while I was following ketogenic diet and 1 meal a day. It was relatively easy, but again, I believe that with the decrease in the amount of fat and redistribution of the fat to legs and buttocks, concentration of toxins in the remaining adipose tissue is growing. I do not have any proof for this, I just speculate, but it seems to be reasonable. Therefore, I began to experience severe toxicosis after 14-16 hours of fasting. And that is, to avoid toxicosis, I reduced the fasting interval to 14 hours and consumed some fatty meat or other sources of fat and proteins a couple hours before intensive exercises. In my case, because I was exercising evening from about 5 hours afternoon, 5 o'clock afternoon. So in my case, instead of fatty meat, recently I started to buy pork skin. So it is so convenient again. It can be eaten raw with salt. That is to save time on cooking. So it's really good. I keep it in some colder place, and it is already in small pieces. And so I just add some salt and eat it, and it is delicious. Pork skin has both collagen and a thin layer of fat. Collagen is a protein that is also consumed by bacteria in our stomach. We need some fat for energy and protein to build and keep lean muscles. Although everyone is free to eat what he or she likes, but I prefer the pork skin, pardon, pork skin, not pork, but pork skin. Raw pork skin can be marinated with salt, garlic, and spices, but in Thailand now, I have to store it in the refrigerator, because in tropical climate, even salted meat quickly deteriorates. So, extended fasting can do more harm than good. You must also always listen to your body and have patience. Don't try to burn fat very, very quick. You will get problems. If there are symptoms of toxicosis, then it is necessary to break fasting and eat some portion of food. Interruption of the fasting must be done without eating carbohydrates. This is also the rule. No carbohydrates. If you eat after fasting, no carbohydrates. And it is advisable to practice intermittent fasting only on carnivore diet after about 6 months of adaptation to such a diet. So first, okay, to make everything smooth, I didn't do it. I was getting quite problems keeping both carnivore diet, ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting. But again, better to shift to carnivore diet because it is more balanced from viewpoint of nutrients, and then at carnivore diet, after you will get adapted for about 6 months, then slowly you can get to the intermittent fasting, so to eat once a day. Then you burn the fat, and then at some advanced stages of burning of the fat, then you step back a little bit and you shorten time interval between the food intake, between eating. So your body has to get adapted to use saturated fat as energy source instead of glucose. It takes time. 1 or 2 months it is just nothing. I mean, full adaptation takes 6 months. The lower the proportion of adipose tissue in the body, the shorter the time of fasting should be. And a very important condition for older people, the amount of daily protein intake in the diet in grams should approximately correspond to your weight in pounds, or not less than twice your body weight in kilo. For reference, 100 grams of red meat contains approximately 15 grams of protein. Only 15, you see, it's so. And if my weight is about 150 pounds, that is about 67 kilo, then I should consume about 1 kilo of red meat a day, or maybe this pork skin, which has protein and fat, both, but at least kilo of protein. I mean, a kilo of red meat, or you see this. I need 150 grams of protein every day. Otherwise, I will lose my muscles. And it is so hard to grow muscles again. So believe me, I go to fitness and I try to work, and again my intensity of workout is reduced if I'm in toxicosis. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking, what should I do? Should I push myself to the limit, or what? But the solution appeared to be easy, just to reduce the interval between food intake. So keep 14 hours fasting and eat little bit, not much, eat little bit, 2 hours before the workout, before the fitness exercises, because you need time. To digest the protein. It is not released instantly. It stays at stomach for long, sometimes 6 hours. But if you eat too much, but small portions can go relatively quick. And I try to follow. This rule: 150 grams of protein a day, whatever will happen. And I consume no plant food, only spices. Okay, then this video is produced for educational information purposes only. It represents only my personal opinion and cannot be considered as medical advice. I am PhD in physics. I am scientist, professional scientist. I'm not medical specialist. Medical specialists, I never trust them. I never follow the advice of certified medical professionals, because I believe I can do it better. So then this video may contain copyrighted materials, the use of which has not been always specifically authorized by the copyright owner. Sorry, I have no profit from this video. This is just information for educational purposes. So I do not violate copyrights. Okay, if you was patient enough to watch this video, please comment, subscribe, like, ask questions, share information. So you see, my recommendations are almost completely different from standard advice of the physician. I am myself a scientist. I think for myself. Last 20 years, I stay healthy, and I never get into physician. No need, but maybe a year, 8 months, 10 months ago, I started to think about how I can rejuvenate my body, how I can live up to 140, maybe 200, 300 years. What should I do? And then I work on it. I consider it's a scientific problem to get a solution. And step in step, I increase my level of understanding. And what I'm getting, what my knowledge, what I have knowledge, is sometimes completely different from what I'm getting from standard propaganda, I would say. Because again, remember, nobody is interested in you live longer than your retirement time. So if you supposed to get retired 65 years old, then okay, maybe a few years more, and then go out. Bye bye, ciao. This is what all medical professionals do. They did it to my father. My father was healthy, but then it is again, they tricked him. They tricked him to get some treatment, to get some operations, and they were giving him 3 times. 3 times they told him 3 times that he has a cancer. I said no, don't get any chemotherapy, nothing. And he died not from cancer, but from some consequences of the operations. Yeah, because I was not present that time, and then they removed the gland from him, and then it was also, again, I was not much interested in health that time. I didn't know about shifting to carnivore diet, and he was fasting also. He was fasting. He was keeping this extended times of fasting, and we believe this was very, very dangerous, very, very bad for him. So first, if you are getting lean, if your body is lean, if you have not much percentage of fat, stop use this extended fasting. Reduce interval of the fasting. I mean, to 14 hours, even maybe shorter. It depends on your what do you feel. Feel your body. I mean, listen to your body, but be smart, because sometimes you feel some hungry, but not because you are really hungry, but because it is time to get breakfast. So try to be smart, to understand what your body needs. If you're on carnivore diet, the intervals between the meals can be much longer, and no snacks. It's again, you eat just 1 time a day first to reduce amount of fat of the adiposities, and then you eat twice a day. And no snacks, no sweet fruits, no sweet coffee or tea. This is the way I follow. Okay, it's up to you to do the same or not. It's again, my goal is to get rejuvenation, to live long. You think what do you need? Okay, ciao. Have a wonderful day.